I need you to knock some sense into me. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I don't know.
I enjoy listening to you. I don't always agree with everything.
All right, enough of this persiflage.
So, you want my question?
I'm certainly not going to get myself in trouble by telling you what to do.
That makes great sense. Gosh, that's good.
Did I overwhelm you with words and wisdom?
I've got 7 kids. I feel like I could call you every day.
What? Wait, you're telling me I'm wrong? Disconnect.
Yes, I am, Dr. Ray.
You just need to tune in to Dr. Ray, honey. He's got all the answers.
Am I right or am I right?
Probably.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
How come they never say the hometown of Dr. Ray? Once a month, maybe? We got to re-record that. Hey, Andrew, how hard would it be for you to replay I Have 7 Children and I Could Call You Every Day? Would that be tough to do? Okay, well then I'll just comment on it. I am trained to hear the inflections of voices. Did you hear her fatigue toward the end of her statement? I have 7 children. I feel like I could call you every day. She was becoming exhausted even after 2 sentences. I just picked up on that. Had to learn these things. I'm not as sensitive as sometimes I should be. My wife said to me last night, "Are you even listening to me, Raymond?" And I thought to myself, that's a funny way to start a conversation. I'm working on it. Okay, program here is The Doctor Is In. Well, maybe it's not okay, but that's just a filler word I used. I could have gone, Ever notice how many people use ums? Is big now. Is rivaling like. It's rivaling well. It's rivaling perfect. Somebody gave me a perfect the other day that was far beyond any perfect I expected. I forget what exactly it was. I think I told them I put something somewhere and it had nothing to do with them. Nothing at all. And they said, perfect. Well, maybe they're following Scripture. You must be perfect as our Lord is. Okay. There I did it again. I did it again. Stop it, Raymond. The number to get onto the program, 877-573-7825. 877-57-equal. That's the number if you would like to call to get onto the program for various reasons. Question about some circumstance, some person, something, someone in your life. I mean, there is a wild range. Pretty much encompasses all the infinite number of human interactions or personal interactions within your own mind. That's a lot of it, too. Or you can call because, as many people do, they have a thoughtful insight. They have something they would like to put out for a previous caller. They got great stuff. Sometimes people call in because they want to comment, an observation, an explanation of either a societal phenomenon or a faith phenomenon or psychology as it intertwines with the faith. I love those questions because I get to pontificate, and that's the word I want to use more often now as a Catholic, pontificate. The number, 877-57-equal. Do I record this now, Andrew, or after the show? I wouldn't record it now, would I? He's not even listening. This is bad. When you have a producer, I try not to take it personal. When you have a producer who doesn't listen to your show, it hurts. It just hurts. But that's okay. I'll be all right. I have come to the conclusion that the most common adjective. See, that was a blend from common and adjective. So it's the most commentive. The most common adjective leveled at children, pretty much of all ages. And I believe it is also a very misleading one. It's an unfair one in most cases. What word am I alluding to? Strong-willed. Years ago, James Dobson, psychologist for Focus on the Family, wrote the book The Strong-Willed Child. I think it was in the 80s, maybe even in the 70s. The Strong-Willed Child. Of course, most people think they have at least one strong-willed child. Now, why do I think that adjective is so misleading, so heavily overused? And by the way, it has variance. He is so oppositional. Mind of her own. High maintenance youngster, very high maintenance youngster. Challenging child, very challenging child. 7 gone on 17. The child is 7 gone on 17. We have a difficult child, according to our pediatrician. Difficult child, folks, is redundant. So why? Why did these words explode? My mother-in-law one time said to my wife, my mother-in-law had 5 children. One of them was my wife. She said, I don't remember talking with other parents when I was raising the kids about how difficult and challenging and strong-willed the kids were. And I said, Ma, I think that's a new phenomenon. Now, what are the reasons for this? Let me just give you a couple. One, the onslaught of the experts giving you all their theories and notions about how you are to talk to children and be gentle with children and reason with children and use I messages and not you messages and use sticker systems and set up win-win scenarios. Oh yeah, Rose, you're gonna segue right into this. You probably can't hear me right now because she's on the phone, but I'll get to it. So that's part of it. When you try doing these things, they may work for a small percentage of kids. I'm not saying they don't, but they don't work for the majority of kids at all. And it looks like the kids are unusually difficult. Oh, that's a big word too, difficult child. That if this stuff isn't working, you obviously don't have a normal child. You've got somebody a little more stubborn, a little more strong-willed, a little more difficult, a little more challenging, a little more oppositional, a little mind of her own. So that's one of them. With the onslaught of all these gentle theories and notions, and I'm not saying you don't be gentle with a kid. Of course you do. But you have to have authority. You have to have calm, quiet, confident authority. And if you don't, the kid's going to be very difficult for you. There's just no question about that. It is a direct relationship. He is going to be, excuse me for saying he, because most behavioral problems are boys, he is going to be pushy, challenging, contrary, argumentative. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, much of the time when parents come into my office, I ask them, do you think you have a strong-willed child? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Very. Strongest-willed of all my children. My other children are not like this. What's the school say? They don't see any of this. They don't see any of this. I said, how do you account for that? I mean, he's there 6 hours. That teacher doesn't have a fraction of your authority. So how is it that teacher gets cooperation, thinks he's a delight, loves having him in class, and you think he's strong-willed? So that's the second thing. Third thing. Christians, of all people, to quote G.K. Chesterton, fallen human nature, or sin nature, I forget what Chesterton called it, is the one doctrine of Christianity that has abundant empirical evidence. Abundant. So those are some explanations. There's more. The biggest one is basically parents. I had 10 children. I didn't consider any of them strong-willed. Am I delusional? No, I think there's a straightforward explanation. The strongest-willed of my kids was not stronger-willed than his mother. That's it. Oh, yeah, they varied in their strength of will. Of course they do. They vary in the way they challenge. They vary in the way they learn from experience. Some go to the corner twice, and that's it. They never do it again. Others go to the corner 264 times and go, hey, wait a minute. So you're saying if I do that, I'm going to go to the corner. Oh, I get it now. Now, are there strong-willed children? Yeah. But I'll tell you, I haven't seen many of them in my career. Yeah, I would say, if you want me to put a percentage on it, under 1%. Oh, come on, Dr. Ray. Under 1% that are truly so strong-willed they can't be handled. There are those who are just bound and determined. They are bent on resisting rules and limits no matter how good their parents are. Now, wait a minute. Many of the parents who come into my office think they're very, very good at disciplining, and this kid is just hell-bent on challenging them. And as we talk over the hour or two or however long the sessions are, we find out there's a lot they could be doing differently. Not because they're bad people, but because they've been making some bad moves in handling this kid. That's all. And then they tell me 2, 3, 4 weeks later, I go, do you think he's still strong-willed? Well, I'm not sure I'd use that word anymore. I know. Strong-willed. I don't know how this happened, but it became the adjective du jour of child rearing. If you think you have a strong-willed kid, if you're convinced of it, first thing you do is you size up your own parenting. You say, okay, wait a minute. No, I think I'm a good disciplinarian. I think I'm consistent. I think I follow through. I think I have standards. Okay, I'm not going to argue with any of that. But typically, and maybe you need some help sorting through it, you can either come to a guy like me as a client, or you can pick up one of my parenting books that will explain all this and help you realize, wait a minute, there are things I could be doing differently, and then let's see if he's still so strong-willed. 877-573-7825. Thank you for joining me. It's Dr. Ray.
We are the pro-life generation, passionate about building the culture of life in our healthcare and in our nation. But not all healthcare options are equally pro-life, and some provide morally objectionable procedures. CMF Curo is different. CMF Curo is a pro-life Catholic healthcare ministry providing a pathway for its members to build the culture of life in their healthcare choices, not destroy it. Learn more about CMF Curo at mycatholichealthcare.com. That's mycatholichealthcare.com.
Steve and Janet Ray here, announcing we are back in the Holy Land, ready to introduce you to our favorite places in the world, the land where God walked. Mass at the most holy sites, pray the mysteries of the Rosary where they happened, and experience the Bible in vivid color. We have led over 100 groups through this land, sharing the whole story of salvation. Of all the pilgrimages in all of the world, this is the one you should not miss.
Find the Ave Maria Radio travel tab at AveMariaRadio.net.
This week on Christ is the Answer, Father John will preach on the birth of our Lord and our call to bring Christ into our lives. It's almost Christmas time, and as we busy ourselves with preparations and generally getting wrapped up in the season, Father John wants us to remember to ask ourselves, what would Jesus want for Christmas? Let's take time to reflect on the Incarnation and why God became man for us, whom He loves. Tune in for Christ is the Answer, Monday through Fridays at 11 a.m. on Ave Maria Radio.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866 Ave Maria or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
Now, this is bad. Forgive me for using value-laden language, as the experts say you're not to use value-laden language. Bless me, Father, mistakes were made. Bless me, Father, I did things unacceptable. Bless me, Father, I was inappropriate. That's what they want you to say. That's the kind of language. Rose sent me an email, and I suggested to Rose call the show so I could ask some questions. And I was thinking she would be like most when I say, please call the show. They don't. Now, either they get this from the TV show and they're not aware of the radio show, or they don't want to have their voice over the air, or they don't have time, whatever it is. And I was going to use it for a future e-person. But now Rose just stole it from me. Hi, Rose.
Hi.
I remember your email. Let me see if I summarize it and if I've got the right email. You said that you have friends, you have people in your life that are raising their children more permissively because they're going the gentle parenting route. And what's happening is that your little girl, when she has to associate with them, I don't want to say she's getting beat up, but it's coming to that. And you're figuring, hey, wait a minute, man, my kid's the only one getting disciplined. Everybody else is there kneeling down and saying, is that appropriate? What might be another option we could do? Yeah. Well, Rose, I'm going to give you a quick answer. You're right and they're wrong.
Okay.
It's that simple. Now, somebody might say, oh, Dr. Ray, who do you think you are? There's just as many experts who disagree with you. I accept that. All I say is, go ahead. See how it's working out for you. What are those kids like, Rose, the gentle parenting children?
They're madness. Chaos.
Yeah.
Disrespectful, I think, is the hardest one.
That's typically the way it is. I think I said very quickly, and I gave you just a short, brief suggestion. I said, you're going to have to keep an eye on your daughter when she's around them.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Which we already do. And the influence days later is, I think, what we're struggling with.
Is that right? So what, do your daughter pulls a few of their stunts?
Yeah, and then after a couple of days, we get back into rhythm, and then she knows better, and things seem well and done, and then we hang out again, or we interact with the kids again, and it's another couple of days of reinforcing what our family believes.
If I remember correctly, what was she, 6?
She's 3.5, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all right.
Very, very little. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's okay. She's just doing impulsive kid stuff. Yeah, I wouldn't. There's two things to weigh here, Rose. One is, okay, are these family members, and are you going to have to say, well, I don't want my kid around your kid, or I don't want to be around you if you're going to raise your kids that way? Is it like that?
I wouldn't go that far. They are in the family, but I wouldn't go that far where we're like, we don't want to see you anymore. But we definitely sometimes choose to distance ourselves in situations that we don't want to deal with behavior.
Okay, I got that, and I understand that. The point I was wanting to make was that you really don't want to sever a relationship with relatives over these kinds of minor discipline issues. What you do is you recognize, okay, two things are going to happen. One, in a group of kids, my kid is the only one who's going to get disciplined for bad behavior. That's it. It's just that simple. They're all running around kicking the Christmas tree, and your kid joins in the group, and you pull your kid aside and have her sit on the couch. You're the only one. And, okay, I just thought of another one. You're going to get probably critiqued. Oh, she's just being a kid. That's what kids do. She got caught up in the moment. She was very excited. Explain to her that it's inappropriate to kick Christmas tree bulbs. Have you heard that yet?
We haven't. People kind of keep their... I'm probably the more bold one in the family, but
okay.
Not yet. Not yet.
They just look at you like you're going to ruin your kid. Okay, got that. Third thing is, I'm thinking of all kinds of things while I'm numbering these things. The third thing is, it's going to become very obvious in about another 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah.
That your kid is much more likable to be around. And other people will start to notice it, including Grandma. All right, she will notice it. So that's another. Here's the fourth one. Your daughter will pick up some of the stuff they do. Okay, got it. You'll have to discipline her. You will maybe add a little bit to it. If you say, for example, and she's 3.5, so this is kind of delicate. If you say, I think you did this because you saw Gracie do it. Now you have to sit in the chair longer. In other words, don't imitate Gracie.
Right. We've had conversations like that before.
All right. But I don't want you to worry that this is going to ruin your kid. It's not.
I don't think it's going to ruin it. I just think I see the influence down the line.
Oh yeah, heck yeah.
When
And
they're
there could come to a point where you can't let them be unsupervised with that 9-year-old, because that 9-year-old has her own iPhone. That 9-year-old goes on an iPad and she searches anything she wants, and your poor innocent, sweet little girl doesn't want to see those pictures.
Right.
Yeah,
that's what I see coming. But
Yep.
That's just where my mind goes.
Well, don't worry about that. I mean, at this point, you just say, when it arises, I will handle this.
Okay.
All right. Now, one other thing, I just want to make you worry before I hang you up. At age 13, your daughter's going to go. Quit saying "go," Ray. Your daughter is going to say, "How come they're allowed? How'd I get you as a parent? How can all those people be wrong? I'm in a monastery here." Well, that may happen, and you'll weather it, and you'll show her how much you love her by the hugs and kisses and all the other stuff you do for her.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to worry about something, worry about that.
Nah.
See, I'm glad you called. You realize I could give you so much more. For me to type this out would have taken me till next week. Did you order the Discipline That Lasts a Lifetime book?
I have not. It's on my to-do list.
That's right. It better be. What's wrong with you, Rose? That is my most popular discipline book by far. It was with Franciscan, and it is now with EWTN. So you can get it on their catalog, or you can get it on my website.
Okay.
Okay? And by the way, Rose, my granddaughter's name is Rose. My grandmother's name is Rose. Rose is making a comeback.
It is.
It's a beautiful name.
Yeah, it runs in our family, too.
See? Like, it reminds me of that phrase, "A rose by any other name would be just as bratty." I think that's what the phrase was. Was it? I don't know. I don't remember. Thanks, Rose. You take care, honey.
No problem. Yep,
All
you
right.
have a good day. Thank you.
Bye. All right, Mike from Mater Dei. Mike, you're going to have to explain that one to me.
Hey, I will. Out here in the Pacific Northwest, men who own pickup trucks, many of them are jacking them up high and putting big tires on them. And the trucks never leave pavement. When a man does that, what are they saying psychologically about themselves?
I have no idea, but I one might say, it's kind of an assertive, nonverbal. It's like, okay, I'm big and I'm bad. And maybe I'm big and I'm bad. And Mike, and bad not necessarily in an evil way, but bad in kind of a tough way. I guess what I would say too, Mike, is that maybe a few of them, I don't know the percentage, are reacting. They're saying, I'm getting a little tired of being called a toxic male. You want to see toxic male? Look at my truck.
All right. That makes a lot of sense.
It'd be fascinating, though, to take 100 guys that have the big jacked up trucks, the Ford 1250s, and interview them, find out which ones are Christians, which ones are conservative, which ones think a certain way, which ones have very dramatic opinions about what men are supposed to be like nowadays. They're supposed to be sensitive and nurturant and not guys. It'd be interesting to see that. It'd be a fascinating survey.
I would thought about talking to him, but I will do that.
All right. Take notes so you can put it in the journal article. 877-573-7825. 877-57-EQUAL is the number to call. I'd love to hear from you. Got a lot of time. You call now. Still got a real good chance getting on the air. If you're patient enough to wait a few minutes. Am I worth a few minutes? Nice to have you with me here on The Doctor Is In, Monday through Friday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, co-production. Ave Maria Radio Communications, EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network, my compatriots, my compadres, my associates. And they're in Ann Arbor. Eric Dumont, call screamer, and Andrew Kruchek, producer man extraordinary. Hey, we got to congratulate. Got another EWTN radio partner. There's 400 and some of them, so we get these a lot. KCDM FM 98.3, serving Burlington, Iowa. Does that have anything to do with the Coat Factory? 22 years on the network. This week they're celebrating that, so we got to congratulate Joe Spillane, Tony Miller, and the whole team there at Burlington Divine Mercy Association. Are you guys listening? Do you even carry me? Just asking from all of us here at EWTN. Thanks for being with us. Tom from San Diego, where the weather is always perfect. It's always 68 degrees. The only problem is you can't afford to live there. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Dr. Ray. Thanks for taking the call.
Sure. What's going on?
So I've told the screener, but I have a son who's now 5.5. When he was about 2.5-ish, he got diagnosed by our healthcare provider as being on the autism spectrum. It was sort of a mild diagnosis, like they were kind of hemming and hawing about it. But we started him in like ABA therapies and physical therapy, and he definitely has issues where like gross motor skills aren't, he doesn't run or jump as well as other kids. But the main thing I'm calling you about is, of course, behavioral, and it was interesting to hear your start of the show today, because the question for me is, how does disciplining him fall in line with the autism thing? Because what I seem to always hear from this autism specialist is more like what you're describing as sort of gentle parenting. It's corrections, it's you do role playing, it's you do reward systems.
Boy, you got to get tired.
Yeah, you set timers when it's time to like change activities, but it's really
better not have more than one kid.
No, just the one. He started kindergarten this year, and we started him at our Catholic school, and they expelled him in 3 days.
What did he do?
They were very nice about it.
What did he do?
Just not sitting still. He, if they ask him to do work and he doesn't want to do it, he'll just get loud and silly, or he could run out of the room.
Is he a behavior problem for you?
Sorry?
Is he a behavior problem for you?
Yeah. The most recent episode, he's at public school now, and his teacher there has generally said, well, 80% of the time he's okay, 20% he's not, and they bring in extra specialists to kind of monitor him and stuff. But he's in the normal classroom most of the time. But last week he got a cold, and he was out of school for 2 days, and I think he learned, if I'm sick, I don't have to go to school. So the last 2 days he's been very performative with his coughing. Yesterday he went to the school nurse 3 times, and she's like, he's fine. He's just playing it up. He wants to go home. The big question for me is, where do we, is this treated different than standard discipline because of the diagnosis, or, is he not processing things the same way?
Let's drop back a few years.
Yeah.
Why did they make that diagnosis?
My wife started to notice that he wasn't putting enough words together in sentences when he was 2. He was speaking, but not the way she thought he should be developmentally. So we took him to our healthcare provider, and they evaluated him on multiple fronts. They had a speech therapist, I think a physical therapist, and there were about 3, maybe 5 different doctors that eventually all kind of got together, and of them, 1 or 2 were going, yeah, we think he's normal, and the other ones were like, well, we don't think he is. And
so whatever he is, it's mild. Whatever he is on that spectrum, it's very mild.
It seems that way. I mean, it got
academically, he can function.
Academically, what he's supposed to know, he knows, letters and words and things. Yeah.
So is it safe to say that you have been a little unsure of yourself as this little guy's moving through preschool up into 5 and 6 years of age because you're not sure. You've been told by all the experts you can't be a real parent. You've got to parent very differently because he's wired very differently, and therefore all the quote-unquote standard discipline, and by the way, most experts don't like standard discipline anyway, but all the standard discipline really isn't going to work well with your child and it's just going to frustrate him.
Yeah, I mean, to say I'm unsure, I think is fair. Yep.
Okay. Well, when you're unsure, it's almost follows that he's going to push harder.
Uh-huh.
Now, because you said he was a behavior problem for you, if you couple that maybe with some mild social delays, some mild relationship kind of things where he sizes up circumstances and he doesn't really learn quickly how to conduct himself appropriately, then it doesn't shock me that he's going to do some things in school. Why would he not? All right, because he's a behavior problem for you. Now, that goes against what I just said probably 15 minutes ago where I said most of the time they don't do this in school. But you got a little guy who, for whatever the reason, a certain percentage of them do. I'd say about a third of them that are major behavior problems for parents. It spills over into the schools. It usually takes a few years, but it spills. All right, now all that said, how is it working out for you? Doing all these things that you're supposed to do that are so very, very tailored to a very mild autistic child. How's it working out for you?
Oh, I felt, it just seems to be a roller coaster. There's some days that are good and some days that are bad. A week ago he was right before Thanksgiving break at school. He had a couple days in a row where they were sending reports home, hey, he had a fantastic day today. But when routines change, like Thanksgiving break, he's off for a week, and then it's hard to get him back in and going again. Or like when he was just sick last week.
How's he doing for you? How's he doing for you at home? If you were to say to this little guy, what's his name, Tom?
Joey.
Hey, Joey. Now, you're arguing with me. Go stand in the corner, please. What would happen?
Most likely he would just ignore it and keep doing whatever he was doing.
So what you're saying is you have no authority.
I do, but I'll get to a point where I'll say, hey, if I'm going to count to 5 if you don't do this, and if you're not doing it, I'm going to take away a favorite toy for a day. And that
does he go
sometimes has traction.
Okay, sometimes. Okay, so even doing that, he challenges you. And does he stay in the corner, or does he start arguing? Does he throw a fit? Does he melt down? Does he come out?
Oh, he can get very loud verbally. He can be screaming and shouting.
So here's what you're saying, Tom. I'm cutting through this because we're going to bounce up against a break. I'll hold you over. You are a microcosm of an awful lot of parents I talk to. So just hold right there. We will get to you in a moment. 877-57-EQUAL is the number to call to get onto the program. I want to hear from you. Still got 20-some minutes left, and you can certainly get on. Be delighted to talk to you. It's Dr. Ray. Thank you for joining me here on The Doctor's In. I'm talking to Tom from San Diego. To summarize, got a little guy approaching 6, got kicked out of Catholic school the first 3 days. Whew, guess they don't want to put up with that. He was diagnosed, although the questions of reliability across experts were being raised, because he's diagnosed very mildly on the autistic spectrum. He's now in public school, where they're starting to complain about him. That's making me nervous because they're saying 80% of the time he's okay, but 20% of the time he isn't. And that's usually well high enough for him to come to the attention and have some parent conferences and whatever else the public schools want to do. So Tom is saying, we've been told all kinds of different things, that we have to parent him different, we have to discipline him different because of his particular developmental issues, even though the experts agreed on one thing, that he's very mild if he's on the autistic spectrum, and some of the experts don't even think he is. Tom said also that he does not accept discipline. He just flat out does not, and Tom really can't get him to accept discipline. He even uses consequences sometimes, but at that, it becomes a battle. Tom, you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Good summary.
Several things. First of all, I see parents like you in my office all the time. Matter of fact, in my very first book, You're a Better Parent Than You Think, I have a section called He's a Special Child. And that section is in the chapter called How to Talk Yourself Out of Authority. When you think a kid is needing all kinds of new and enlightened, gentle type approaches, okay, if they work, God bless you. Good for you. Wonderful. But they don't most of the time. And what tends to happen is the child becomes more difficult, and sadly, he becomes targeted. He is now the bad kid at school. He got kicked out, and he's already setting himself up for a reputation in the public school. That said, you have to decide as a dad, okie dokie, hold on a second here. Yes, he may have developmental issues, however mild, that make it harder for him to control his impulses, or that make it harder for him to understand the links between what he does and what happens to him. Okay, I got that part. That doesn't mean he can't. It just means it's harder. And we don't even know it's harder. We don't know that because this is all complicated by the fact that you have admitted for the last 5 years you haven't had authority with this kid. So once you don't have authority, his perception of you is somebody he can push around. Not because he's a bad kid, just because he's a kid. All that said, I would suggest strongly, and again, I can't give you those kind of ideas here in a 6-minute radio call. I would suggest very strongly that you reassess your authority. Let me give you a small example. Joey, you need to go to the corner, son. You're arguing. Okay, now at that point, he blows you off. Or at that point, he says no. Or at that point, he goes and he melts down. Or he decides he's going to eat the wallpaper at the corner. Whatever he does. Joey, you don't have any privileges until you serve your corner time. That means all his privileges are gone. Everything, every single thing. Dessert, outside, play, toys, stuffed animals, crayons, everything. Nothing. And you just tell him, no, you haven't gone to the corner yet. Joey's got to realize when Daddy says, please go to the corner, or go lay on your bed, or put your head down at the dining room table, whatever it is Daddy does, he has to cooperate. The school problem, and I talk about this in great depth. I hate to do this again, but this book, Discipline That Lasts a Lifetime, is by far my biggest selling book because it deals with all these things. At school, you want to know every day, Dad, what kind of day he had. Excellent, good, fair, poor. That's it. That's it. Tell the teacher just to please put it on a little spiral pad. That's it. If the spiral pad doesn't come home, it's an automatic poor. Excellent means Joey gets a privilege that you choose, an extra privilege. Good means all privileges, no more, no less. Fair means he goes to bed early and he has lost, say, 3 privileges. Poor means he has no privileges. He goes to bed early and he has no privileges. If you put your weight behind the school, and you do it, almost always this brings a child's behavior under better control at school. But Dr. A, what if he can't control himself? What if this is part of his handicap? What if he can't get a grip on his impulses? Well, Dad, you're going to teach him. Whether he can or whether he can't, we got to teach him. Because what's happening here, Tom, is that he's getting targeted. I guarantee you other kids are going to say, oh, that's Joey, stay away from him. He's trouble. Unless it hasn't already happened. You're talking to a guy who's done this for 45 years and has seen hundreds and hundreds, perhaps thousands of these situations. You are, Dad, and your wife, the big factors in making Joey a much more pleasant young man, a much more cooperative young man, even with the question mark of autistic spectrum. I hear the wheels pondering.
Yeah. No, thanks.
Okay.
The school already sends a communication log home every day, so that's helpful. You know,
All
we
right.
kind of know.
Back it up. Back it up. Don't give him lectures. Don't say, now what happened today, Joey? What did you do? Now what could you have done differently, Joey? Yeah, you can do all that as long as you still have some consequences and results.
Mm-hmm. See, I asked the school. We already have, occasional every 10-week meetings with them and things, but I asked them about that, like, should we be doing anything at home? And the only response they seemed to have was, well, you could do, like, role-playing.
No, doggone it. See, Tom, this is the problem. I'm sure you're a loving dad, and I'm sure your wife is a loving wife and a loving mom, and you're not enjoying your son because you're getting nonsense advice. You're going to have a 6-year-old with role play? Okay, now, a kid pushes you, Joey. What do you do next when he pushes you? I push him back. No, what might be another thing you could do? You can go that till you're blue in the face. That may work for 2% of kids. Joey needs to see, Joey, you can't do that, son. And we're going to do something about it. And here's the other thing I would say about the school. I don't care what they say. You're dad. You decide how you want to handle this. You don't go to the school and say, well, what are we allowed to do? It's your kid. There you go, Tom. I gave you a push. Okay. I gave you a push, my friend. Good luck.
All right.
All righty. Bye now. Dr. Ray. Yeah, I get fiery. You know why I get fiery? Because I just see so many parents not enjoying their kids because they're trying to do it all the new and enlightened way. And I will tell you, I'm getting a little encouraged because there's more books coming out now. Books and articles. I just saw one the other day talking about this stuff is blowing up in parents' faces and they're not liking their kids. Yes. And then the kids get targeted. Have you noticed that? What's wrong with him? Why is he like that? He's like that in part anyway because the stuff you're doing to try to raise him morally and to give him self-control in a loving environment ain't working. I'm done. See you on the other side.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically owned shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com. The Heart of the Interior Life with Elizabeth Jingle.
Spiritual joy. Within the third rule, the discernment of spirits, an experience of spiritual consolation can also be identified. As St. Ignatius of Loyola teaches, all interior joy that calls and attracts to heavenly things and to the salvation of one's soul, quieting it and giving it peace in its Creator and Lord. When we experience this type of spiritual consolation, we find ourselves filled with spiritual joy as we respond to a call that draws us to the things of heaven. Father Timothy Gallagher explains, in the joy we feel, we find ourselves attracted to heavenly things, to God's personal calling to us, to the scriptures, to prayer, worship, the service of others, and to all things relating to God and His saving work in our lives. Might you consider asking for the grace of spiritual joy today?
For more information, visit AveMariaRadio.net. Advent is here, and Ave Maria Radio wants to walk beside you every day as we move towards the birth of Jesus. When you visit AveMariaRadio.net, you can join our Advent mission and receive short, powerful, and engaging daily videos that help you enter the mystery of the Incarnation with new clarity and devotion. Go to the slider at AveMariaRadio.net, sign up, and take your place in this joyful journey to the manger.
I used to consult to Head Start programs. At one point, there were 4 different Head Start county programs I was consulting to. Very early in my consulting career, I was called in to a little boy who was profoundly hearing impaired. Very much so. He couldn't even interact with normal level conversation, and the hearing aids didn't do anything. It was probably a neurological basis for it. I didn't get heavily into it. But the call was from the teacher who said that the other kids were avoiding this little boy. He was 4. Because of his behavior, he was very, very aggressive, socially unpleasant. And so they wanted me to bury down and see a little bit what might be going on. Most important thing I did after talking to the teacher was to talk to the parents. It turns out that the parents had been parenting from a sense of guilt, from a sense of the world has ripped off our child. He can't hear. So we can't expect him to behave appropriately, at least age appropriately. So their tolerance for his very difficult growing conduct was a mile wide. What happened was, when he got into a social situation like Head Start, he moved out of the home. It almost became, and I mentioned this in my first book, I said it almost became that his bigger handicap was his behavior. The kids didn't want to have anything to do with him. And the program was considering removing him. Mom and Dad's view was he's a special child. Therefore, we cannot expect from him what we would expect if he were a quote-unquote normal 4-year-old. I see this all the time. The idea that there is something within this child that makes it imperative that we very radically alter our discipline, our expectations. Now, that said, I am not saying that because of particular wiring, particular developmental issues, that some kids take longer or they do not understand at an age-appropriate level. I got that. But one of the examples I always use, I'll ask them, do you have a dog? Yes. Did you wait until your dog understood that he shouldn't pee on your carpet before you started training him not to pee on your carpet? No. Well, is your child smarter than the dog? Well, maybe not Lassie or Rin Tin Tin. Okay, I got that part. And they say, of course. I said, that's right. So he's capable of making certain links, if-thens, if you will. And it may be a bouncier if-then, and it may be something that takes him a little longer. Yes, got that. But to retreat from teaching him these things through common sense, calm, consistent, discipline expectations. Notice what the school said. Now, this is the irony of what the school said. Okay, so 20% of the time, he's giving them trouble. How long do you think a classroom is going to put up with 20% of the time? I consulted 12 school districts for years. I'll tell you, 20% is really pushing the limit. Usually gets them in a special class. So that said, when Dad asked, do we do anything about this at home? What did the school say? Well, you might try role play. So again, the school or the teacher or whoever it was, the school psychologist, the counselor, the nurse, who gave them this advice was, I believe, in many respects, parroting or having been influenced by the new and enlightened ways to deal with kids. Dr. Ray, don't you think, though, that if he's going to act that way and then the parents did this at home, it's kind of like double jeopardy? I got that once from a Head Start teacher. It's double jeopardy. You don't want the parents to do it because we did something about it. Well, the first thing is, what did the school do about it? Most of the time, they don't do much about it. And secondly, the parents have much more effect. They're able to teach, and that's what you want to ultimately do. It's not a, hey, come on, punk, I'm going to show you who's boss. It's not that. It is, I don't want you doing these things, and I've got to leverage it so that you're more likable and you fit in better. Okay, I got to go because I put consequences on myself for being late. Thank you for joining me. Walk with God, whether you're a special person or not. It's the walk He wants from you.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.